Welcome back to SPS Extra. We have Dr. Adam Swinyard with us, the district superintendent. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. And what better way to start the school year? We've been doing this podcast since January now, Stephanie, but to have Adam on and just really gear us up for this incredible school year that we have ahead of us.
23-24 is going to be awesome. We're off to a good start in many ways, and we're super excited about all the things that we have planned for this year and to get kids back. So just a few days left, and we'll be back and rolling when this gets published. Everyone will be in school, having a great time, looking forward to the stadium opening. We talked about that in our last episode, and just getting everybody back and connected.
I know it's probably hard to condense what you're most excited about for this school year, but if you could sum it up, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, well, as an educator, I've always loved the start of school and the closing of school and just the energy and the excitement and the optimism. So as you mentioned, this is going to be the best year ever in the history of Spokane Public Schools.
Better be.
Yeah, we're coming off a record high graduation rate in the spring, and our enrollment is steadily increasing. We're all staffed and ready to go, and so you can really feel the optimism and the excitement that is in the air across the city.
How can you not be when we're doing so much? Opening 2 more new middle schools, the stadium. What has that been like in that energy around? We've been opening middle schools and buildings for a while now, but still, it probably doesn't get old. It doesn't get old to have those new modern buildings, knowing they're going to be filled with super fun, smiling kids and staff members, and then a stadium where it's just, we've talked about it a lot. It's going to be state of the art and so incredible for those kids to experience.
Yeah, well, what's awesome right now is we're a school district that's on the move. And that's such a great thing and such a source of pride for our staff and our students and our families. And those buildings are definitely a representation of how our district's moving forward. Our family survey in the spring, we had 80% of our families said that they would highly recommend our schools. And on average, families scored us a 4 out of 5 on school quality. That's pretty amazing and just a resounding endorsement from our families about the experience that our kids have. And as you mentioned, we have so many awesome things going on with activities and athletics and clubs and new buildings. So there are just so many emerging opportunities that have really positioned us as a 21st century school district, and what that looks and what that sounds like. Certainly we still have areas to grow and things we need to do better at. But there is a lot to be proud of if you're a part of Spokane right now.
On one of our previous episodes, we talked to some Sacagawea Thunderbirds who were really excited. They're going to be 8th graders this year, so they were really excited about their new school. And they were reflecting on the yellow gym that was the old Sac gym.
Yeah.
And we all know that really well.
Yeah.
But they were excited. And so we hope to circle back with them and see how things are going, because it's a cool time to be at school and a cool time to be involved in things.
Totally. Yeah. Well, as a former principal at SAC, definitely familiar with the orange lighting in the gym, and those new spaces are really just unreal. It's surreal to walk in and see them. But it really situates in what we're focused on right now, in that student engagement has never been more important. And engaging kids and creating spaces where they feel like they're excited to be at school. School is fun. School is joyful. They feel a sense of belonging and connection. They feel like it belongs to them, and that there's a feeling of community inside of those buildings. That has never been more important. And there's lots of reasons for that. The pandemic didn't cause some of the disengagement that we're seeing in kids. It definitely accelerated and exasperated some of it. And the really important work we have moving forward, and not just our school district, but school districts across the country, is how do you engage kids in a new, different, and exciting way? And how do we recognize that every generation of students is a little bit different, what they need is a little bit different, their attributes are a little bit different, and how do we evolve with that? And in SPS, at the heart of our strategy is to have more activities, more athletics, more clubs, whether that's the spelling bee or the science fair or cheer or band or choir. We just want to continue to really stretch the rubber band on what those different types of experiences are, because we know that a reality is one of our adversaries is technology, and technology it's incredible. It's amazing the type of access and opportunity it can provide. And I am sensing almost universal recognition across our city, across demographics, across age groups, whether it's parents or neighbors or grandparents or aunts or uncles. There seems to be a universal acknowledgement that our kids are spending too much time on screens.
That's what it is. It's too much. Some of it is great, and that's our 2023 world, but sometimes it's too much. I know when you were talking, I was thinking about, I saw a picture just the other day about the Lewis and Clark girls cross country team. Genuinely happy to be out there together, hanging out at Manitou, getting ready for the season, but just being together, and there wasn't a cell phone in sight in the picture. Now, somebody took the picture, but it was cool, and I thought, what a great way to get away and just do something fantastic, which is be athletic with the running piece, but also connect with your friends and like-minded people. And there's no need to be on a screen during that time. But then go home and connect with someone cool and look something up that you want to learn about. But at the same time, it just felt like a pure, wholesome picture.
I mean, screens are here to stay. I mean, they're not going anywhere. But I do think that they came so quickly that I think sometimes as a culture, we sometimes are so focused on can we do something and what can we provide. We don't always think as long and as hard about should we. And now we have a generation of kid that is on screens way too much. And the research is really clear. They need to be out, active, moving around, socializing in person with their peers. There's so many good outcomes that come from that. And, life is about balance in so many ways. But we want to just continue to message to families the importance of every kid participating in at least one extracurricular activity, athletic or club during the school year. Just try at least one. We hope you do a whole handful, but we're really going to be encouraging and promoting that every kid tries at least one. So we got some work to do in Stephanie's department around, increasing those different opportunities. But it's truly more important than ever, And things have really changed when we were kids, and a lot of our parents were kids. I grew up in Spokane, and you had channels 2, 4, 6, 7, and 28, and Price is Right was only an hour long.
Right.
And so you eventually would get bored being at home or in your basement. And now kids can infinitely be entertained by streaming devices, by video games, by social media. And so we need to recognize that is a reality. And what are we going to do to intercede and provide kids a different alternative? What's an exciting, fun alternative to being home on your devices? And we know that if they engage in those things, it's going to be infinitely better for them and their development versus being on Snapchat or TikTok for hours on end.
I remember one of my connections when I was younger. A theme in this podcast is when I go way back to when I was younger. But cheerleading was a big deal for me. And I was also playing basketball and also running track. But cheerleading took up a lot of time. And it was a big responsibility. And it was something I took great pride in. And so because of that, I had to get my schoolwork done at certain times. And so that really taught me, we talk about life lessons, and everybody says that who's involved in athletics and activities, that it propels you into the future for great habits as an adult who's successful and so on. And I just remember one night being so tired, but organizing my index cards for my research project on Prince Edward Island junior year, and knowing, though, that I didn't want to be doing that the next night because I had games to be at, either to play in or to be a part of. And it was just something that was really important. And then I think about it now today, quite a few years later, but think about that those are the life lessons that it helped me with. And guess what? I got an A on that project. And it was because of some thought, but it was really because I was connected in a different way. And so my school work moved along with it. And so what were some things that you experienced as a student that has helped shape your thinking today with what we're talking about?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think something that either we experienced ourselves or we knew someone that moved through the world in this way is a lot of kids, their motivation for coming to school, their motivation for getting the work done is so that they can participate in that club, in that activity, or that athletic sport. And that's just the reality. As much as we love science, math, and social studies, the children typically don't come to school for the science textbook. They don't. It doesn't mean they can't love science. It doesn't mean that can't ignite their passion for the future and their curiosity. Of course it does. And they're kids. And kids are motivated by things that are developmentally approximate where they are and how they're moving through the world. And I think it would be naive of us to think that what's going to motivate our kids is singularly coming and getting an education so that you can enter the future workforce. Most 13-year-olds I know are not necessarily motivated by that. They're motivated by what's the fun, what's the excitement that's going to happen in my life. And, there's some things that I have to do to be able to participate in those. And so I think we need to get back to that a little bit. I think there's some pretty foundational things about childhood and about being a student that we maybe drifted away from the last decade and a half, 2 decades, and we need to come back to some of those things. There's lots of things that we should leave in the past and do better and differently, but there's also some realities that kids are kids, and kids have been kids for a while now, and there's some differences, but there's a lot of similarities.
Especially with their growth and their development. They're still the same age. They might know a few more things. They might have been on more screens like we've talked about, but they're still kids developing. And when you talk about the 13-year-olds, when you're 13, you're really excited to be around other kids your age and kind of experience the world and whatever that looks like. And it might look like science club if you are the kid that loves that science and want to extend it during the day.
I know we have a group of high schoolers. They really want talent shows.
Yeah.
They want more talent shows.
Love that.
Let's do it.
And I think, yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so we are not just talking about ball sports.
Exactly.
That is not
That's
what we're...
the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of it. That is not what this is. What this is how can we find as many different types of experiences as possible that get kids excited, that get them interested, that encourage them to come to school, to be there afterwards, to be around their peers. I sometimes when I'm talking with community members about this topic, I'll just say, I don't know, predominantly the vast majority of adults are spending their day going someplace, and one of the primary drivers is they get paid, and so that's just a reality. And so I don't think that that is not a worthwhile reality to expose kids to, is that you come to school, you do the work, and then part of the payoff is you get to participate in all these fun, amazing, exciting opportunities. That's a really developmentally appropriate reality for us to expose kids to, because that's what it is in adulthood. Yeah. You go to work, and then you get something for it. And so I think we need to get back to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the cool part of this podcast is that it has, a lot of what extracurriculars are going on, but I feel like it has opened our eyes to so many different things. Yeah. Like you mentioned, no, they're probably not going to school for the science textbook, but they're going to school because of robotics.
Absolutely.
After school.
Yeah.
I've done a Lego robotics story. One of the first things I did when I took this job was I wrote down every single club at every single level. And now Leandra has a beautiful graphic of every single club we have. And that's just what it really shows you, that there's so many different things. If you don't think you're going to be interested in sports per se, there's likely something out there for you. And if it's not there, bring it up to someone. Talk to your staff members, talk to your counselor, your principal, and be like, this is something like the talent shows that we want to do.
And there's probably other kids that want to do it too. When I was a principal, we started Cyber Patriots at the middle school level. We were the first middle school to do that program. And I remember coming on a Saturday to one of the competitions, and it was just such a cool thing, because it was a group of students that maybe didn't know each other previously, didn't necessarily have classes together, didn't necessarily eat lunch together, but that was their people. Right. And they found their people, and they were so joyful to be with other kids that had similar interests, it was really just an empowering moment to see that if we create spaces and we create a variety of spaces, that kids can find the one that fits for them, and then to see them be able to flourish when they have that sense of belonging and connection, kids flourish. And so it's so important, more important than ever. And I also think that our parents, it's really important that we raise awareness about social media. And I think that it's something that maybe for some families they're just now starting to develop an understanding of how toxic it is. Social media is literally like giving your kid poison, and whether that's bullying, harassment, sex trafficking, fentanyl use, normalization of violence, sexualization, you name it, social media is becoming a gateway for our kids, and they're spending hours ingesting that poison. So many hours. And so I really believe that it's going to be critical that we work together as a community, that educators, politicians, social service groups raise awareness in our community to inform our families that it's not like our parents used to say, don't watch so much TV, it rots your brain, right? This is different. This is different, and it's much more serious and much more detrimental. But we got to have an alternative. Right. We got to be able to help our families say, all right, we got to dial back this social media thing. How about you go do this? Right. How about you go do that? Because that's such a harder conversation if families don't have an alternative to offer their student. Then it gets into a deeper power struggle, and we know that doesn't lead to good things. So
we did a quick survey thinking about all the things that we've been discussing, just to see how it would work to gather some student voice on a quick, just a day's time. So Michael Balfour, Michael's one of our great extracurricular leaders and people at Ridgeview Elementary. He put out a clever poll to all his school, and he had a half day to do it. And he gathered 30 responses, and those 30 responses say they want art club at Ridgeview, and they want to play some volleyball. Those are classic, easy to pull off. We can do it right now. And it was so powerful to hear from those 30 kids that they were just taking a quick survey that he put out. That's how we can gather student voice. It doesn't always have to be a massive situation, but art club, let's get it rolling. We can do that. And so we made sure that they got to try it last year, and then they're going to do both this year on a bigger scale. So that's great.
I love that. I also hope that we can spark an interest and excitement again of coming and being spectators at events.
Yeah.
And that's
point.
Part of, American culture. The last, 30 to 40 years is Friday night football, or everyone going to the basketball game, or people coming to see the drama performance. And again, I think, the world has changed, and technology has stolen away the attention of so many kids. And there's so many things you can do with your time now. And so we've been spending a lot of time, I know, in Stephanie's team talking about how do we have an amazing fan experience? How do we make those games exciting and fun and entertaining? Because again, if we can get our kids together in healthy, safe spaces, they're going to flourish and do better. But we can't just sit back and just hope that happens. We have to do new and different things to nurture that.
I mean, we've had, Stephanie, so many healthy conversations of how to, specifically towards the stadium, but we want this to be everywhere too, but how to have that game experience, how to get people in the stands, how to get students in the stands. I just had an incredible conversation with Shelly Radke at North Central about their push to getting kids to more things. And I think with this entire conversation we've had, it's really not that complicated. And I think we just need to quit making it so difficult as humans to think, we gotta find parking, or we gotta pay $5 or whatever it may be. We always try to make excuses, I feel like, as humans, to not go to things. But it is that extra step to making the fan experience great as well.
Last year we had a little energy around themed nights at basketball and volleyball.
Yes.
And I'm skeptical of it because I'm not a costume person myself. But I saw an uptick I saw an uptick in fans at Shadle and at Ferris and at LC and Rogers and North Central because they had a theme, and that was what brought the kids together. So that's cool. That's a cool, idea and things like that to get more kids there. But I love the idea of it's not just about playing the sport or doing the activity. It's also about being there and being a part of it. And what better place to be on a cold, late December night than in one of our awesome gyms, just having a good time.
Yeah, we just have to be creative around that. And
everything doesn't have to be huge.
Everything doesn't have to be huge. And I know like North Central, they're in the process of purchasing some wolf mascot costumes.
Yes.
And
Nice.
it sounds like a simple thing, but it creates
That's
excitement
cool.
and energy and fun. And we're really fortunate through a sponsorship agreement with STCU. We're going to have digital video scoreboards in all of our high school gyms. So that, again, we can enhance the fan experience and get images of kids watching the game up on the screen and do player profiles and different highlights of things happening at the school. So all those are a layering of strategies to make it cool again to go to high school events.
Exactly. We've had so many incredible interviews over the past week we're doing a big stadium story, and we got 2 seniors from each high school, took them into the stadium, got to see their reaction, got to see them living in that moment. And it was truly so empowering. And we had a student, his name is Charles, and he's a part of the Ferris band. And we had him come into the stadium. And for him, his experience will be incredible. He gets to play in the pep band at the new stadium, be basically field level because those stands on that home side, they're right up against the field. And just something like that. Maybe sports isn't your thing. Go to listen to the band.
I love the bands. That's awesome. That noise, I'm thinking about just hearing it.
I know.
And those songs that they're going to play. That's fantastic. That Ferris fight song, of course. Yep.
Yeah. And just go to socialize.
I know, right?
I have one of my kids at home. She's going to go to the game and she's going to socialize. Yes. And I have another kiddo, and it's all about watching the game. And both are great. Both are good. But again, getting kids out together in our community, particularly after the pandemic. The pandemic, there's lots of talk nationally about learning loss, and certainly kids experienced learning loss, and different groups were more disproportionately impacted than others. What deteriorated faster than what we ever possibly could imagine was norms, routines, interpersonal skills. Those deteriorated faster in kids than we ever could have fathomed, and they're much more difficult to repair than we ever imagined. You don't just flip a switch and say, oh, well, we're going to go back to the norm of waking up to an alarm clock and being to school on time, or we're going to flip a switch and go back to the norm of organizing our time and making sure our homework's turned in. And it's the same with interpersonal. We're going to flip the switch and go back to the norm of you get out, you socialize, you visit with people, you
learn
talk
from
to them
each
about
other.
their day, you learn from each other. And so we are going to have to do things as a culture to repair that, and to do new and different, and to chart a better, brighter future for our kids, not just because of what the pandemic created, but the trajectory we were on before COVID showed up.
Yeah, and that takes a solid foundation, and it sounds cheesy, but it does start with people like you guys. So thank you for making that the forefront of what it's doing for our kids, because we say this all the time, but it's so true. It comes back to the kids. It's all about the kids. That's why we do what we do. That's why I tell the stories I tell, because their story matters. Their future matters. And that's why we're all here, right?
Absolutely. I know I've said that a couple times in the last week when there's been frustrations at work or there's been things going on, and I'm thinking this really is about the kids. Like this isn't about the things we're typing on the computer. This isn't the nonsense that we're tearing our hair about. It's about their experience and the kids. This is why we're doing the work. They're the most important.
There's so many divisive topics that overlay on our local community and on a national level. And so when there are unifying topics, we need to really go after those together. And I do hear almost universally people eager to support and encourage kids being active and kids being off screens. It's really interesting. There's this really incredible synergy. I don't think I've ever talked to someone that said, well, you have too many activities and things for kids going on. You got too many of them. It's the opposite.
We hear the opposite even when they want to complain about something else. We hear, you guys are offering so many things.
Yeah.
And so we have heard that recently, that's acknowledged. And at the same time, want to be mindful, are we offering what the kids want to be connected to?
Exactly.
There's that piece. Super. Because I know there's a club at one of our high schools that we've always had. We've always had it. And so I talked with some of the school leaders and I said, what are they doing at that club? Nobody knows. They've just always had it.
Yeah.
Just a couple people show up and the same teacher does it. And it's like, I think we can do better than that. I think we can, speak to the kids of today and see what they want, not just some club that they had when I was there.
And empower them to lead. Our kids are incredible and they are so ready to lead. Our kids are so ready to step up. I've never seen a generation of student, particularly in just the last couple years, that is so eager to step up and be part of the solution. It's really exciting, and it makes me so hopeful for what they will contribute to the world. And so we got to tap into that. We got to ask kids, what do you want to do? What are you excited about? Oh, and guess what? You can lead it. You can shape it. We're here to support you as the adults, but at the end of the day, the school district belongs to the community and the kids that it serves, and we work for them. And so the more we can empower them in that role, I think the better experience they're all going to have.
Like you said at the beginning, this is the most exciting part of a whole school year is the beginning. We're excited throughout the whole thing, of course, but the beginning, and because we have conversations like this, because of the things we've talked about through this whole interview, it only seems like it will be the best school year ever.
Got a lot of things to look forward to.
A lot of things to be hopeful about.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.